Welcome to Module 5 of Introduction to Crop Cultivation in Nigeria. In this section, I'll be talking about pest and disease management. Lesson 1, Identification of common pests and diseases. Common pests in crop production. Pests are organisms that cause damage to crops, reducing yield and quality. Understanding the common pests in crop production is crucial for effective pest management. Key pests. 1. Insects, aphids, caterpillars, beetles, and mites are common insect pests that feed on crops, causing damage to leaves, stems, and fruits. 2. Nematodes, soil-dwelling nematodes feed on plant roots, leading to stunted growth and reduced yield. 3. Rodents, rats and mice can cause significant damage to crops by feeding on seeds, fruits, and roots. 4. Birds, birds such as sparrows and pigeons can damage crops by feeding on seeds and fruits. Common diseases in crop production. Diseases are caused by pathogens such as fungi, bacteria, and viruses. Identifying common diseases is essential for disease management. Key diseases. 1. Fungal diseases, powdery mildew, rust, and blight are common fungal diseases affecting crops. Bacterial diseases, bacterial blight, leaf spot, and wilt are common bacterial diseases in crops. 2. Viral diseases, mosaic virus, leaf curl virus, and yellowing diseases are common viral diseases affecting crops. 3. Symptoms and signs of pest and disease infestation. Recognizing the symptoms and signs of pest and disease infestation is crucial for timely and effective management. Key symptoms and signs. 1. Insect damage, chewing damage, leaf mining, and sap-sucking damage are common signs of insect infestation. 2. Disease symptoms, leaf spots, wilting, yellowing, and rotting are common symptoms of pest and disease infestation. Pest and disease diagnosis, use of field guides, diagnostic tools, and laboratory tests to identify pests and diseases accurately. Lesson 2, Integrated Pest and Disease Management. Principles of Integrated Pest and Disease Management. Integrated pest and disease management is a holistic approach to pest and disease control that combines multiple control methods to minimize pest and disease damage while reducing reliance on chemical pesticides. Key principles. 1. Cultural control, crop rotation, intercropping, and sanitation practices to disrupt pest life cycles and reduce pest populations. 2. Biological control, use of natural enemies such as predators, parasites, and pathogens to control pest populations. 3. Chemical control, use of pesticides as a last resort, following proper identification and monitoring to minimize environmental impact. Strategies and practices implementing. Strategies involves planning and implementing a combination of cultural, biological, and chemical control methods tailored to specific crops and pest and disease pressures. Key strategies. 1. Cultural control practices, implement crop rotation, intercropping, and sanitation practices to disrupt pest life cycles and reduce pest populations. 2. Biological control practices, introduce natural enemies such as predators, parasites, and pathogens to control pest populations. 3. Chemical control practices, use of selective pesticides following proper identification, monitoring, and application to minimize environmental impact and non-target effects. Monitoring and surveillance. Regular monitoring and surveillance are essential for early detection of pest and disease infestations and timely implementation of control measures. Key practices. 1. Pest and disease monitoring, regular field inspections and monitoring using traps, pheromone traps, and scouting to detect pest and disease infestations early. 2. Threshold levels, establishing economic and action thresholds to determine when to implement control measures based on pest and disease populations and crop damage levels. 3. Planning and implementation, develop and implement a plan tailored to specific crops, pest and disease pressures, and environmental conditions to optimize pest and disease control and reduce reliance on chemical pesticides. Lesson 3, Chemical pesticides and safety measures. Types of chemical pesticides. Chemical pesticides are substances used to control pests and diseases. Understanding the types and uses of chemical pesticides is essential for effective pest and disease control. Key types. 1. Insecticides, chemicals used to control insect pests, including organophosphates, carbamate, and pyrethroids. 2. Fungicides, chemicals used to control fungal diseases, including copper compounds, triazoles, and strobel urines. 3. Herbicides, chemicals used to control weeds, including glyphosate, atrazine, and 2,4-D. Pesticide application methods. Proper pesticide application methods. Proper pesticide application methods are crucial for effective pest and disease control and minimizing environmental and human health risks. Key methods. 1. Spraying, use of handheld sprayers, backpack sprayers, and tractor-mounted sprayers to apply pesticides to crops. 2. Dusting, application of pesticide dusts using dusters and blowers for controlling pests and diseases on crops. 3. Fumigation, use of fumigate to control pests and diseases in soil and stored products. Pesticide safety measures and regulations. Using chemical pesticides safely and responsibly is essential to minimize environmental and human health risks and comply with pesticide regulations and safety guidelines. Key safety measures. 1. Pesticide handling and storage, proper handling, storage, and disposal of pesticides to minimize exposure and environmental contamination. 2. Personal protective equipment, use of appropriate PPE, including gloves, goggles, masks, and protective clothing, to protect against pesticide exposure and poisoning. 3. Pesticide safety and regulations, compliance with pesticide safety regulations and guidelines, including pesticide labeling, application rates, and safety precautions, to minimize environmental impact and human health risks. We've come to the end of Module 5, let's now move to Module 6. See you there.